Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Graham Parham. I'm with Highlands Residential Mortgage. Today, we're talking with Eric Martel. He's with Martel Turnkey, but also has a new process it's called the flip system. And we want to talk to our listener or talk to Eric today so our listeners can find out more about the flip system. Today, joining me, of course, is my production partner, Aaron Stelly. And then there's, of course, Eric Martel. Thank you, Eric, for doing this with us. This is great.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I do have one question for you. I was listening to one of your podcasts last night or webinars, and you were an actuary. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow. So you go in and dismantle pensions and funnel it over to 401ks.
Exactly. I take full responsibility.
Wow, I don't guess you were shaking a lot of hands and kissing a lot of babies back then, were you?
My God, it was horrible. I knew what I was doing. I mean, obviously it was not instigated by me, but yeah, the companies, corporations and stuff like that, they were tired of having the government kind of like play with their pension and causing liabilities every year. So they decided to wind up a whole bunch of these defined benefit pension plan and converting them into 401ks, basically.
One question I had at one of the organizations I was working at, they used to have deferred comp where you could take a gross amount of your money and set it aside. But if you ever left the company, they tax the crap out of you. Does companies still do that?
I haven't heard that in a very long time. So I think what they were doing they were still doing a lot of defined benefit, and then they were doing that was part of the defined contribution. So they're still doing defined contributions where they would match some contribution, just like 401ks. They would you would put money in there. There would be some kind of contribution matching from the company if you were lucky. But of course, they don't want you to take the money as soon as it's matched up. So there was a vesting period to make sure that you stayed with the company for a certain period of time, and then it would vest over 2 or 3 years.
The golden handcuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, guys, today I want to talk to Eric about his new flip system. Eric's been and his family have been working in real estate for many, many years. Have very, very successful business as a turnkey provider. They're currently in 4 markets, I believe Memphis, St. Louis, Cleveland, and Detroit. Is that still correct?
Yeah, and we're expanding to other markets as well. Yeah.
Good. So we've been working with them for several years, and I will have to compliment it. Working with you and your family has been extremely pleasant. Completely transparent. I mean, it's easy to work with. Your customers are great. It's been a true pleasure. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's been the same for us. It's been a great experience working with you.
Well, good. Well, I have customers come to me all the time and say, do you do fix and flips? And I say, no. Okay, but I actually do fix and flips. If you're not going to flip it, you're going to hold on to it. So, but a lot of customers out there that I have are looking to, do their own fix and flip. And I personally tried it years ago and fell flat on my face. And I thought I knew what I was doing. I know how to hit a hammer. I got a drill on the whole 9 yards, but I put way too much into it. Consequently, I didn't make any money. People do that all the time. They think they want to fix up their house or this particular investment property to live in. Well, no, that's not what you're doing. You're trying to fix it up so you can sell it, make a profit, or keep it and put it as long-term rental. So today, I want if you could kind of take us through the process and act as if I'm a new customer. Say, Eric, tell me how to do fix and flips.
Yeah, and this is the advantage of this program is that we're really coaching our students, our customers on how to do real estate investing. It could be a fix and flip, but it could also be, as you mentioned, like at the end of the renovations, once it's rented out, you can also refinance it and keep it for the future, for the cash flow, which is often called like the BRRRR strategy, right? Where you buy, renovate, rent out, refi, and repeat. So this is really based on, we started this company in August, but this is really an evolution from what we had been doing with Martel Turnkey for almost like 10 years, and we basically package everything that we've learned over the last 10 years into this program, because a lot of our investors were asking and say, hey, I really want to do what you guys are doing. I want to buy the distressed property. I want to do the renovation and all that kind of stuff. This is what I want to do. I want to flip it. because often they don't have enough capital to buy 20 single-family rentals, but also because they want to have more like a hand into the process. They want to be more active participant in their investment. We have tried everything. I mean, there's lots of, as you know, there's a lot of online training programs out there. There's a lot of mentorship program and all of that. And we tried that as well. We were hoping that this would work out, it would help our investors achieve their goals. But when we talked to them, it was really not, they were not successful enough. There's a component that was missing. And then we kind of like Antoine and I, my son and business partner, we were looking at, okay, well, what else can we throw at them to make them successful? And so maybe we need to give them the properties, like give them a list of properties that they can buy and stuff like that, like connect them with the acquisitions team. What about if they had a coach throughout this whole program? What if we gave them the tool that we've been using for the last 10 years to analyze property, manage the whole process as it goes from construction to renting to holding, and then eventually kind of like selling to another buyer, another owner, and then kind of like, and then understanding all the numbers, like right there in the system. You don't have to go and get the calculator every time. It's all right there in the system. You play with the numbers and you know what's the best exit strategy for you. And what about, you know, the other thing was about the construction team, like having the team on the ground, the contractors, the property manager, the realtor. And then we said, well, what about the financing? A lot of them don't have that much money. We need to connect them with hard money lenders. We need to do all that. And now very recently, we're also going to help them sell their properties on Martel Turnkey website. So we're going to help them market their properties on Martel Turnkey.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, flip system is really, it's the whole, as they say, the technical term is, I think it's called shebang. I think it has everything in it. It has the everything. So I don't know what else the only thing they have to do really is they get the properties from the acquisitions team that they could buy. They can analyze them. They push a button to submit an offer. They sign some documents for the purchase and sales agreement, etc., and stuff like that. Come up with some money for the down payment and to get the construction started, and then that's it. And so we do everything. We help them do everything else for their investment.
The company that we used to do a lot of business with out in Southern Cal, they would do you're probably familiar with them, the Fortune Builders. And
yeah.
They do exactly what you're doing. They would bring people in for the boot camps, talk about their programs and so forth, and did some big business. But you know, they would start off, all right, since you don't have a lot of capital, let's do a couple of burrs so you can get the capital. And then once you get a couple of burrs on your belt, then the next one you can do is a buy and hold. Okay. And they just keep doing that over and over. And it was pretty successful. And that's why when Lynn was telling me how successful you guys are, I would just, man, I gotta find out more of it and share it with my audience. So if I come to you and say, okay, Eric, I live in Dallas, Texas, and I found a property here on MLS. How can you help me?
So the way that it works, obviously, we're still very focused on cash flowing cash flowing rental properties. We're connecting them with teams on the ground that we have worked with or that we have connect with somehow. And so we're still very focused on some of the markets. We've expanded a little bit more since Martel Turnkey, but we're still very strong on Cleveland, St. Louis, and Detroit. We've added Chicago now for people that are especially interested in doing the duplex, triplex, and fourplex. We have Indianapolis if people want to do more like the buy and hold kind of strategy or burr. We have, Cincinnati. We're also looking at adding Toledo, Ohio. So we're expanding and we're building the team on the ground. So that's one of our secret sauce is really finding out the right market where you're going to be able to have decent appreciation, but really focus on cash flowing properties so that when you're done with that house, it's going to cash flow. It's going to have a solid, very good cap rate and good cash flow.
So in other words, and you answered my question, thank you. So in other words, I'm going to go in those markets that you're already in. So if I came to you
That's
and I
right.
have a property in Texas, you're going to say, I can't help you. I don't have the full strength in those markets just yet. And you're right, because maybe Dallas, Texas is not a good profitable area to be in right now because of all kinds of factors, appreciation,
Yeah.
taxes and so forth. But those areas that you're in, I know for a fact are very strong cash flow markets. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. So they come to you and they see a property on your website that hasn't been rehabbed. They say,
Yeah.
okay, I want it. And they're going to come to the table with 10%, 20%. What is it normally?
So, I mean, they would go through the process. They would put a purchase and sales agreement together. They would put an offer for the current seller. And then we would connect them with the hard money lender, and they are already connected with the realtor as well on the ground when they're looking at a particular property. Because it's exactly the same process that we're doing, right? So sometimes we're analyzing property. I have my acquisitions team analyze properties, and then they would say, oh yeah, these 5 properties look great. We would talk to the realtor, property manager, and they say, well, you know, these 3, I wouldn't go there at all. I wouldn't buy these properties, but these 2 are good. Then we would put an offer on these 2. So it's exactly the same thing for our flip system student. We would give them some properties that we think are great, that we analyze them, and we think that it's going to cash flow great and good returns. And even if they want to refi it and do a burst strategy, we also pre-calculating that. If they want to sell it, we're showing them what the return is going to be for their investors. So we're doing a lot of the pre-calculation to help them decide from the beginning when they're actually thinking about buying a property. We're already showing them what is the best exit strategy for them and if it makes sense. Then the next step is actually talking to the realtor, their team on the ground, and say, okay, I'm interested in this property. And then the realtor is going to say yay or nay. And if it's the realtor is good with that, then this is when the offer gets put together. Then they get connected with the hard money lender, and then this whole process starts until it's actually under contract, and then they actually close on the property and they can start the renovations.
Does your hard money provide cost plus renovations?
So a lot of them that we're dealing with, they actually provide the percentage of the purchase price and then 100% of the rehab.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's normally how it works. Normally about 75% of the purchase price and then 100% the rehab, normally in like 2 or 3 draws.
So I go on your website, I see this property, I said, that looks like a good one. You already vetted it. You've already have calculations about what it's going to take to rehab. And then I already have calculations say, okay, once all this is done, I can sell it for this or keep it for this.
That's right.
Perfect. But do you do now? Your real estate agent obviously is going to come up with the data through MLS, knowing, okay, if it had all these repairs, it could typically sell for this, because most of the time that's the same way we do with your properties. I mean, the end result's always good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And
obviously there's a due diligence period before they close the contract, and they're going to work with the realtor to have the contractor go in there, do the due diligence. Because our acquisitions team is basically coming up with a very ballpark estimate of the renovations based on the pictures that they've seen on the MLS or Redfin or Zillow. So they kind of like look at that and say, well, I think it needs like $25,000 in repairs. So before you close on the deal, obviously you're going to send the contractor, potentially an inspector, to confirm your rehab estimate.
And you have those people on the ground ready for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll go into a pre-inspection, whatever the case. You have the analyze the punch list, if you will, and then plug and play the hard money, and off you go. What's the normal turn time for your rehab?
So for the rehab, it obviously depends, but normally it's about like 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks for the rehab. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we try to keep it relatively small rehab, right? So we don't want to have anything that has like foundation issues. We don't want a complete gut job. We want things that we can, pretty much change the like if there's a roof issue, mechanical things like AC, furnace, hot water tank, that kind of stuff. So we then after that is the kitchen and bathrooms. Then we redo all the floors. We redo the paint, interior and exterior, clean up the yard, maybe the driveway and stuff like that. And that's normally kind of like the kind of renovations that we're looking for.
Now, for this process, for you to share all your information, and everything, is there a fee, or is it basically you're making the money on it?
Yeah, you can imagine that, so we're sharing a lot of information. So a lot of these things, a lot of these relationships, I mean, we've built and worked with them and eliminated a lot of the riffraff, I would say. So we have the people that we're working with, I mean, they're solid. I mean, so basically, you're taking advantage of all the experience that we had working with the team on the ground, analyzing properties, identifying the markets, then the neighborhood within the market. So all the sub-markets where you want to be. And, we're giving you deals and stuff like that. So there is an initial setup fee for joining the program. And then after that, there's another fee for kind of like the tool, the CRM tool, the property tracking system that we have. And then you have access to that to manage your properties and manage your projects.
Do you feel like, since you launched this program, the people that have completed the flips, or the people that have completed the BRRRR, let's go with the BRRRR route.
Yeah.
Are you providing them well, you just mentioned you're providing them tools about the CRM for the management. Do they like to self-manage, or do you try to offer some management on the ground?
So it really it's not like a property management tool. It's more like an asset management tool where they can keep track of all the properties that they have under constructions. And then we're adding a lot of automations. So we would know, for example, that, when let's say Maple Heights, you're familiar with Maple Heights, so sometimes you have to do like a POS amount, right? So you have to keep a POS amount in escrow. So we could keep track, the system would allow you to keep track of that POS amount. And then when at the other end, once you do the POS inspection, you want to make sure that you get back that POS money from escrow. And then so our system would keep track of that, automatically send an email to the escrow agent and say, hey, we've done the POS inspection, please release the fund. It would also send an email to the property management contact and say, hey, now it's time to go and connect and collect on the POS amount that we have in escrow, and then the process start. So you don't have to, do that manually once that automation is in place.
Well, one of the things I can tell you about fix and flip or BRRRR or management, it's not easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen to the experts, listen to what Martel and his team have acquired over the last 10 years to go out and actually do it yourself. And the program sounds great. It really does. I mean, it's almost a turnkey fix and flip, but they're going to make some additional money, especially if they hold on to it. Okay. Continue on. But yeah, I mean, I remember those fees on the guys on the West Coast were crazy. I don't need to tell you how much they were charging,
Yeah.
but do what?
Yeah. I mean, I know the Fortune Builder. Fortune Builder is a great program, but again, they were not connecting all the dots.
Right.
I mean, I'm very familiar with the Fortune Builder program. We had a lot of people that came out of the Fortune Builder program, and yeah, they spend a lot of money, and and they would teach everything, the wholesaling. They would teach the all like the flip. They would teach all the different strategies. So we're not teaching all the strategies. We're not teaching you wholesaling. We're not teaching you how to do subject to. We're not teaching you how to do multifamily. We're focused on single family rental with either an exit as a flip, where you're going to sell the property, or you're going to refi the property at the end. So we're very focused on that. So we really clear out a lot of the noise that you have in other programs, where they're trying to show you, hey, you have 1,000 different ways you can make money. And this is where people get in trouble. They go from one strategy to the next shiny object, and then they lose track of what their goal was in the first place. And then they're stuck with losing money on one project here because they didn't have the right resource,
Right.
The right amount of money, the right skills, the right team on the ground, the right amount of money.
Yeah, it's so easy to screw up a fix and flip. Yeah. It really is. I did it. I fell flat on my face. I've had so many people come to me and they fell flat on their face. and even some of the fortune builder students,
Oh yeah.
we flipped two, but I think we want to start doing some buy and holds. And they're in the back of their mind, they're probably going, because it was a royal pain in my ass to do this whole thing. But your program seems like it's pretty user friendly. You just connect the dots, execute, the program, and then make a decision at the end. Do I sell or do I keep? Yeah, that's awesome. And go ahead, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, when before we started Flip System, so a lot of investors, obviously we made it look so easy for the investors to, they would look at us and say, oh, these guys, they've done, like last year we did, for example, like 180 properties. We actually sold 180 single family rentals last year alone. We've done probably close to 1,000 over the years. And so they look at us and they say, well, that looks pretty easy. And, but so, and a few of them, that's when they did the online training, or they did some of the mentorship. They were part of the mentorship program. And we said, well, you need to build your team on the ground. So you need to do call like 50 people and talk to them and see if there's a fit, and, interview them and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, wow, that's a lot of calls. And it's like, that's a lot of work. And this, and they start to realize that, wow, I don't have time for this. So, but Flip System, I mean, we're really taking a lot of these things out of the way. And again, basically the only three things they need to do is push a button, sign, and give some money.
That is awesome. That's the key right there, because most of your students they have a full-time job.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't have the time to devote to this. I mean, I've got a fair amount of inventory for my rentals that, quite frankly, on the weekends, that's what I'm doing. I'm working the problems of the issues or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of time requirement for owning a lot of properties. But that's tremendous. Now, what would you say the percentage of the ones are actually holding on to those, or are they all selling them?
So right now, a lot of them are building capital, I would say, but they're also building confidence. So, so that's the other thing. And but I think the plan for all of them is that once they have enough capital, maybe they're going to do like 2 or 3 flips, and then they're going to do, one of them is going to do a BRRRR. They're going to do a refi on that property, because everybody's goal is to be financially free, so that they don't have to go to that 9-to-5 job. And if they really like doing real estate investing, that's what they want to do full time. And then they're going to have all the resources that they need to do it. And they're going to have the confidence to do that. And the team on the ground and all the stuff that I mentioned. So
are the hard money lenders, are they pretty strict, or because they know you, they have a lot of confidence in the buyer, regardless of their credit profile or whatever the case?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other advantage of working with Flip System, is that, there are hundreds of hard money lenders out there. They all have different criterias, all have different kind of, minimum amount of loan, minimum value of the property, all of that kind of stuff. They don't work in some areas, not other areas, all kinds of constraints. And so we've eliminated a lot of that. So right now we have probably like 10, I think, hard money lenders that we're working with. And these are people that we've talked to them, and like you, and then we're familiar with them, and then we know that their criteria is working for us. We know they're easy to work with, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's important to us, is we want to make it super easy, but by eliminating all the stuff that's not going to work, we know it's not going to work for them.
Okay. All right, good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the BRRRR. That's kind of where I come in. Like I said, people come to me and say, I want to do a fix and flip. Well, I said, well, good luck. There's, get online, like you say, there's hundreds of hard money lenders out there, and they all beat to their own drum. But you've already pre-vetted them. So you got them going there, and they say, well, I really like this property. I think I'm going to hold on to it. Well, great. Then let's refinance it. I'm just going to show a slide here. This is basically what a BRRRR is. As Eric mentioned, you buy the property, you rehab it, you rent it, you refinance it, and you repeat. And there's some certain ways Fannie Mae lenders, or Fannie Mae program is the only one that does a thing called delayed financing, that they can do it either within a seasoning period or a non-seasoning period. And let me explain what I mean by that. A season cash out is if you've owned the property for more than 6 months. Now, Eric, you mentioned earlier that you're turning these rehabs around within 3 to 4 weeks. And at that point, it's, they own the property, they can either sell it or hold on to it. Now they want to hold on to it. Now, here's the interesting thing about the delayed financing. If you buy the house for $60,000, as an example, the rehab is 20. We run an appraisal, we get $125,000 for the appraisal. At that point, we can give you the full 75% of the 75% of the appraised value after 6 months. Okay, just keep that in mind. After 6 months, if you're doing a hard money loan, and let's say you have 60 plus 20, so you're in it for 80, and you want to take out an additional, in this case, another, up to $93,000. Well, Fannie Mae just came out with a ruling last month or so, which says it used to be 6 months, now it's 12 months. And let me be real specific about this.
Oh, wow.
If there's a lien against the property, in this case will be a hard money lien against the property, we can do a thing called a rate and term refinance on that existing balance, if you will, in this case, say 80,000. Okay, if that's what the lien represents is 80,000. And let's say the hard money lender went ahead and said, okay, I'll do the acquisition plus, and now they're at 80. We can refinance the 80 within that year. Okay.
Yeah.
After the year, we can get the full 93. Now, it used to be 6 months. So keep that in mind. It's very important. Okay. Because if you want to cash out additional money over and beyond the 80, that's where Fannie Mae just changed to 12 months.
Okay.
Let's just go with a non-season here. This is what I was explaining earlier. You buy it for 60, you got 20 into it. We'll give you 60 back. We'll only give you what you paid for it. Okay. After the 6 months, we'll give you whatever. Now, in this case, because we have a lien in place, Fannie Mae complicates it a little bit more. As of last month, they extended from 6 to 12 months. Okay. And let me show you what that looks like. So now, like I said, you've got a value there of 125,000. You got an existing lien there for 80. Okay.
Yeah.
We can refinance that not as a cash out, but as a rate and term refinance. We'll give you 80 plus closing costs, so we can roll those in. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to make sure your students understand this, because they think they can get their money back right away. Well, they do have a seasoning period in this world. After 6 months, you could do it. If there's a lien against the property, it went from 6 to 12. So it's a little more challenging getting that BRRRR loan at the end because of the new 12-month guideline. But here's a way around it with going the rate and term. Do you want your money today or do you want it tomorrow? Okay. Yeah. Typically, you probably want to take out that hard money loan as soon as possible. So I would probably go with the rate and term. Does that make sense, Eric?
Yeah, that's right. So as soon as I'm done with construction, I have a tenant in place, and then I can basically get my purchase price and rehab costs refunded, basically refinanced under this term.
Correct.
Okay, that's cool. So basically, as an investor, the only amount of cash that I would have at refinance would be my holding costs and financing costs from the hard money lender.
Correct.
Okay. So
it works.
That's pretty cool. And the seasoning period for that is how long? There's no seasoning period. Oh, no seasoning required. Okay, so that's great. Yeah. So right after I'm done with a project and it's rented out.
So that's why I encourage a lot of people when they're doing this to make sure you get a hard money lender that's going to do cost plus. Okay. Yeah. So you can take care of all those rehab costs. A lot of times the hard money is only giving you enough money just for the house, to buy the acquisition of the property, and you've got to come up with your own money. Yeah. A lot of times people will take, and there's another way that people do it, is they have a HELOC on their house. I'm sure you've had students that come to you and say, hey, I've got this money. I don't need your hard money lenders, just do that. And that's fine. Yeah. Then we go back to this one here. Okay. So they have their own money. They paid 60, they threw the 20 in. Okay. It's been 6 months. I can refinance them and provide them all the way up to 75% of the 125, which is 93,750. Okay. Yeah. Did I explain that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So this is where people get confused. So a lot of times people do use their HELOCs because, especially these people you have a lot of clients, I'm sure, that are on the West Coast that have gobs of equity in their property.
Yeah.
HELOCs are great. I love them. I mean, I think everybody should have them. I've got one. It's a great working tool. And to do projects like this, you take the HELOC out, go do the burr, go do the burr method, get your money back and go do it again. It makes a lot of sense. But if you don't have that excess cash, then of course Martel and the Martel company can provide you with their hard money lenders. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me, Eric?
So I think I think we have a lot of questions around HELOCs, for example. So is this considered, like, if somebody wants to use their HELOC as a down pay, like the down payment for buying a turnkey property, or even for buying something that they want to renovate, is that the HELOC is that considered down payment, or is it considered, no, you can't use the HELOC because that's really a loan? They want you to have hard cash.
That's a great question. A HELOC is a working tool that is a secondary loan against your primary residence, typically. Okay. And it's like a credit card. Okay. I've got a credit limit of $50,000. Okay. Well, how much do I need for the project? I need 30. Well, take 30 out and go do what you got to do. And then of course the interest clock starts ticking the day you do that on the 30,000. It's most HELOCs are typically, excuse me, prime plus something, like prime plus one. Now, keep in mind, today prime is up to about 7.5. So you do prime plus one, you're still on 8.5, but that's still better than a hard money lender because they're up in the double digits. So, and plus you don't have to pay all those points up front.
Yeah,
so it's really a good way. Now, the HELOC, if let's say they're buying one of your turnkey properties and they want to go tap into their HELOC, we can allow them to do that as a down payment and closing cost, but not reserves. Okay. And with the only thing we do is we just count whatever the interest payment is on that 30,000 or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
So it works out really well. People do that a lot. Okay. So the HELOCs are great tools. So they can use it for the fix and flip or the burrs, but they can also use it for your turnkey projects.
Okay. Well, it sounds very good. So yes, I hadn't heard about that rate and term financing. So that sounds very very good for people that are on flip system, for people that want to do a burr strategy in general. I think at least you get your money out and you can do the next you get most of your money out. Obviously it depends on the financing cost and the holding costs and some of the other stuff.
Right.
But at least you get your purchase price and rehab, and then you can do your next project after that, another burr. And so so that's very good. And no season period, because so that's the key, because that was something that when we got started, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, when we got started, the first house we bought was not honest, I don't mean to say I'm going to be honest, I'm always honest, but I want to say I'm going to share something, a personal story. So with the first house we bought, when we got started in Martel Turnkey, we bought a single family rental in Memphis, Tennessee. I think we paid like $40,000. We put $10,000 in it or something like that. I don't remember exactly all the numbers, but and then we were ready to kind of like refinance it. But then you say, well, you can't. It was I think it was rented out at $750 or something like that. And then we say, okay, well, we want to refinance and then get our money out and all that. And I said, no, you can't do that. You have to wait for the seasoning period. And it's just like, okay, or you can get the loan now. If it was before 6 months, then at that time we were able to get like 60 or 65% of the purchase price plus rehab, I think, how much money we had in. So, or you can wait and get 80% of the value of the property if you wait after the seasoning period. So that was kind of slowing us down to build our portfolio, and this is kind of the reason why we decided to flip some of these properties. This first house that we bought, we actually we waited the seasoning period, the 6 months, and then we refinanced it, and we got all our money out plus $10,000 or something like that, $10,000 or $15,000. So we had more money after doing that burr, and we had a cash flowing real estate single family rental on top of that. I was like, that was the first house we did, and I was just like, okay, well, let's do 2 more. It was on. I was hooked at that point. I said, "Well, I just created money out of thin air." Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time. We've done a lot of projects, as I mentioned earlier, and we haven't done too many burrs, but it doesn't happen as often that you would be able to get all your money out and get more money, more cash out of it. But yeah, it was a great experience. I was hooked at the moment. It was like
Well,
money out of thin air, and then I have an asset on top of that that's cash flowing.
well, back then, I'm sure those cash flows were hitting closer to the 1% than which are very
Oh yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a no-brainer. We've seen,
Yeah.
Aaron, I've seen over the last, well, me personally, because I'm buying properties too, back 5 years ago, that 1% was a real deal. And it's not these days because of the appreciation and everything.
Yeah, but the rent have gone up significantly. I mean, so in
Right.
Cleveland, St. Louis, and Detroit, I mean, we have very good rents. I mean, one of our students, the first students that completed the whole program, he never did any real estate investing. He's actually it's one of the testimonial on our website, flipsystem.com. He had never done any real estate investing. He got into the program. The first week, he put this first house under contract. And then we connected him to the team on the ground and all that kind of stuff. These ended up doing the construction. He rented the house. So I think he put it was $70,000 or $75,000 purchase price, $25,000 in rehab, so about $100,000 in, and then he sold the property for $130,000 in a 3-month period. He's never done any real estate investing.
That's awesome.
That's why I'm so excited about our Flip System program. I know it works, and really, you push a button, sign some paper, and then you send some money over, and you're going to be successful. And in fact, we have a guarantee that if you're not successful in the first year, if you haven't you haven't made a deal within that period, we're going to give you your money back.
Wow. So that guy that you just talked about that made 30 grand, did he come back and say, let's do another one?
Oh yeah, no, I think he has like 2 more on their contract now or under construction.
Sweet.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah, he's like, I mean, I think if he does these other 2, I think he's just going to quit his job and he's going to do this full time because he's made more money.
That's amazing because
Yeah.
I see a lot of people that some of the fortune builder students that have gone through and did exactly what you're showing people. Next thing you know, they're running a turnkey company in whatever market they're in because it made sense for them to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not management. I gotta tell you, that ain't easy either. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a necessary evil, but there is no perfect management out there. I don't care what you say, but it's just hard. And to work with people like the Martel company, either on the fix and flip side or on the turnkey side, it just makes your life easy. I mean, like you say, you just press a button and off you go. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything other than that. I don't want to talk to a contractor or anything like that. You just tell me when it's finished so I can start looking at it in my account. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the whole secret sauce, but that's great. So the website is flipsystem.com. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And if they want to talk to you direct, Eric, what number should they call you?
For me, they can, I'm on social media, Eric Martel Official. So if you want to DM me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. I think the only one I couldn't change it was Twitter. But YouTube as well. I'm on YouTube as well. I have a couple of channels there as well under, one of them is Break Away from the Rat Race, and the other one is called, it's under my Eric Martel Official as well.
Now you also have a book out. You want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. I have a book called Stop Trading Your Time for Money. And again, this is one of those things, like I talked about the online training, the coaching, the mentorship and stuff like that. We've been trying to help people that are working 9 to 5 for middle class to get out of the 9 to 5 and be financially free. I mean, you can keep your job if you want to, but being financially free is inevitable. You're all going to want to spend more time with friends and family. You're going to want to retire. You're going to want to do all that kind of stuff. And so you have to start working on it right now. So the book was really is really kind of like telling you everything you need to know to basically be financially free. So there's a mindset section. There's a skill section. I talk about kind of like what's happening with with the job, like the actual job, I think is under, you know, the full-time job that we know today is under assault with the gig economy, with working from home. I think it's going to change dramatically, kind of like who you're competing with as an employee. So, you know, all these things, these are major changes, and we haven't seen the full effect of that. And then, of course, I talk about kind of like, if your goal is to achieve financial freedom, you need to focus on a certain number of strategies, passive income strategies. So instead of looking at 1,000 strategies that are not relevant, I narrow it down to a few strategies that are going to generate passive income. And I created a tool for that called the strategy quadrant. And that basically is going to tell you how much time you need to kind of like ramp up this this strategy, and kind of how much risk is involved, how much money do you have to put in order to be successful at that strategy. And then kind of, again, narrow down which strategies really make sense for you. And these strategies are turnkey single family rentals, or also the burst strategies kind of in that quadrant as well.
It's no secret.
And I talk about, yeah. So I mean, I talk about everything and about what you need to do step by step, and really guide you through what you need to do to be successful and achieve financial freedom.
How can our listeners get a hold of your book?
So it's on Amazon. It's called Stop Trading Your Time for Money. I think I have it behind me. Oh, it's right there. So here it is. So it's on Amazon, and yes, on Kindle as well as a hard copy as well.
Okay, good. And for your listeners, I have I wrote a book too, but I really give it away for free. It's more of a tutorial or an educational tool. And I tell people all the time, I've been working with investors for 25 years, and mainly the newbies like you are. And I would like your students, excuse me, and they all ask the same questions over and over. So I decided to put it in writing. And so if you want a copy of that, if you're listening to us on YouTube, there's a little space at the top there that you can download the book there as well. But this has been great, Eric. I really appreciate your time. And if you guys have any questions, you can get a hold of Martel Turnkey, and they have their own separate site, plus the Flip System site.
That's
and
right.
all I can say, if you decide to do that, good luck. And if you have any questions whatsoever about the burr, you're welcome to call us at 855-326-6802. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Graham. It was great.